Live broadcast of the market. Sensex trading is down 500 points. Nifty test 17kx. Axis Bank Airtel is up. Tensions between the West and Russia over Ukraine and a US Federal Reserve meeting that could signal tighter monetary policy kept investors on edge and sent Asian peers and US futures lower after a chaotic Wall Street session overnight. In India, shares of companies like Maruti Suzuki India, Supplier, Allsec Technologies, APL Apollo Tubes, MK Global Financial Services, Federal Bank, Finalex Industries, Indiabulls Real Estate, ICRA, Macrotech Developers, Max India, Pidilite Industries, Raymond, RPG Life Sciences, Star Cement, Torrent Pharmaceuticals, and United Spirits will be in focus as they announce their December quarter earnings today. A double whammy of lower realization and elevated input costs weighed on the operating performance of the Ramco Cements Ltd in the December quarter. As a result, its Ebitda at 230 crore fell 42% year-on-year, missing consensus estimate by 25%. Ebitda is short for earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization. Shares of Indian Energy Exchange declined nearly 3% to 233 apiece on the BSE in Tuesday's opening deals after the company posted a nearly 39% rise in its consolidated net profit at 80 crore in the December quarter, mainly on the back of higher revenues. The company had posted a net profit of 58 crore in the year-ago quarter. India's crude oil imports in December hit their highest level in a year as strong demand prospects in the world's third-largest oil consumer and importer prompted refiners to stock up. Crude oil imports last month rose 7.1% versus November to 19.65 million tons. Data on the website of the Petroleum Planning and Analysis Cell showed on Monday. We started the week on a flat note yesterday owing to mixed global cues. After some initial trades, the negativity reoccurred across the broader market. In fact, as the day progressed, the sell-off intensified to breach all intraday support one after another. In the process, the market plunged like a bottomless pit to hasten towards 17,000 mark. Due to minor recovery in the end, the Nifty eventually settled above 17,100 by shedding nearly 3%. It was indeed one of the worst sessions in recent months. The way market fell yesterday despite Dow futures was maintaining its positive posture is clearly an indication that market is sensing something unpleasant which is not known in public domain. Such scenarios are always tricky and turns out awful for market. In merely 5 sessions, we are back to 17,000 from 18,300 odd level. Taking a glance at the daily chart, we can see Nifty reaching its cluster of support. Though ideally if things do not worsen on global front, we may see some respite in coming session. However, such global developments are beyond anyone's control. So if any further aberration happens, then one would have to be on the cautious side. However, we still believe that it's an excellent opportunity for investors to start accumulating some quality propositions. Since the volatility has spiked up, we advise traders to stay light and should avoid carrying aggressive bets overnight. On the higher side, 17,300 to 17,500 are to be seen as immediate hurdle. If any recovery has to happen, it would only be led by the banking space because it has shown less weakness and is trading at its strong support zone. Shares of Bharti Airtel surged over 1.7% in Tuesday's opening deals to 701 apiece on the BSE in an otherwise weak market after the company announced that the board will consider and evaluate the proposal for issuance of equity shares through preferential issue. Should you buy? In the short term, 16,950 is the last resort of support for this market. If that breaks on a closing basis, we might plummet further to 16,500 to 16,550. On the upside, the resistance level is at 17,400 to 17,500. Traders can utilize upward corrections to sell this market. Private lender Axis Bank on Monday reported a 224% year-on-year rise in standalone net profit at 3,614 crore for the December quarter compared with a profit of 1,116.6 crore in the corresponding quarter last year. On a quarter-on-quarter basis, Axis Bank's profit registered a 15% growth. The private sector lender's net interest income rose 17% over a year ago to 8,653 crore. Other income stood at 3,840 crore, up 31% YoY. The bank's retail loans grew 18% YoY and 6% QoQ to 3,67,49 crore and accounted for 55% of the net advances. Here is the list of the top 10 stocks that are likely to be in focus on Tuesday. Bitcoin gained after tumbling to its lowest level in 6 months in the previous session. The largest cryptocurrency was marginally higher at $36,013 after earlier dropping to $32,951. its lowest price since the 23rd of July. That took losses from its all-time high of $69,000 hit in November past 50%. Bitcoin is down over 21% in 2022 so far. Check crypto prices here. Japan's Nikkei index touched a 5-month low on Tuesday, weighed down by investor caution over the situation in Ukraine and a potential faster-than-expected U.S. rate hike ahead of the Federal Reserve policy meeting due later in the day. By 0213 GMT, the Nikkei share average fell 1.9% to 27,061.36, after dropping as much as 2.1% to 27,006.37, its lowest since the 20th of August. The broader topics lost 2.02% to 1,891.00. Wall Street bounced back from a steep sell-off to close higher overnight, with bargain hunters pushing the indexes into a positive territory. The rupee on Monday slumped by 17 paise to close at a more than 3-week low of 74.60 against the US dollar due to high crude oil prices, forex outflows, and heavy losses in domestic equities amid growing geopolitical worries. Forex traders said the strength of the American currency in the overseas market and weak appetite for riskier assets also dragged down the local unit. Moreover, market participants are now eyeing the US Fed's January 25 to 26 meeting for further cues. PSU Metal Nolco and Auto Stock continue to be among two stocks that have been put under the ban for trade on Tuesday, the 25th of January 2022 under the futures and options segment by the National Stock Exchange. These securities have been put on ban under the FA segment as they have crossed 95% of the market-wide position limit, as per the NSE. On the other hand, Vodafone Idea, Indiables Housing Finance, and Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited that was part of the list in the previous sessions, are out of the list of FA stock ban for today by the stock exchange. 4 stocks to buy or sell today, the 25th of January. All rose after the biggest one-day drop this year as traders focused on the still positive demand outlook and appetite for risk rebounded. West Texas Intermediate climbed toward $84 a barrel after shedding more than 2% on Monday, when U.S. equities swooned then recovered. The volatile trading comes as the Federal Reserve prepares the ground for interest rate increases and Russian troops mass on the border with Ukraine. In recent months, oil bears have retreated as speculators turn more bullish amid lower stockpile. Crude rallied to a 7-year high last week as worldwide consumption recovered from the impact of the pandemic, eroding inventories. U.S. oilfield services giant Halliburton Company said it expected the environment to remain supportive as it reported a jump in profit and higher dividend on Monday. U.S. equity futures and Asian stocks declined Tuesday after breathtaking volatility on Wall Street stoked by concerns over Federal Reserve policy tightening and geopolitical tension. SP 500 and Nasdaq 100 contracts retreated about 1%, while an Asia-Pacific share gauge hit the lowest point since November 2020. U.S. stocks erased a 4% drop to close up Monday on high volumes in a wild turnaround from a sell-off that rivaled any of the last 2 years. Treasuries were mixed, with the benchmark 10-year yield inching lower. Oil stabilized after getting swept up in the bout of risk aversion. Markets are being rattled by the prospect of a Fed interest rate hiking cycle and balance sheet reduction to tackle inflation. Escalating U.S. Russia tension over Ukraine has also encouraged demand for havens. The dollar held gain. In Australia, bonds slid after stronger than expected inflation data as traders boosted bets on rate increases. Singapore's dollar strengthened on surprise monetary policy tightening to damp price pressures. Global shares are enduring their worst month since the pandemic roiled markets, buffeted by risks from ebbing Fed stimulus as well as an uneven start to the company earnings season. The question now is whether the slide is a buying opportunity or portends wider stress across more asset classes.